Well, we're on to the final Tuesday of October, or final Wednesday of October, that is. And what other better way to be doing this? We're about to be looking at a film from Wes Craven. That was pretty much the 90s Don't Breathe. So here we go.
Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, say that thou art High King of heaven, thou art. Hey, wanna play hide and clap?
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a new episode of Halloween Horror Movie Review 6. And this episode is going to be for none other than 1991's The People Under the Stairs, which is directed by a late legendary director, Wes Craven. And it's pretty much the 90s film that kind of inspired Don't Breathe. Or Don't Breathe kind of ripped off from. But anyway, what's the plot of The People Under the Stairs? So, the plot of the movie is that it's the story of this young boy named Fool who is from the ghetto and it takes place on his 13th birthday. So, the attempted burglary with his father of the home of his family's evil landlords. So he gets trapped inside their large suburban household and discovers the secret of the children that the insane brother and sister have been rearing under the stairs. So, as for my reaction to The People Under the Stairs, this was a first-time watch and another not really talked of much horror film that I'm reviewing. A lot of Wes Craven fans do remember it, but it's not something up there like stuff like, Nightmare on Elm Street or the first Scream movie. But it is directed by Wes Craven, and it's like, number one, if you're not a big horror fan, you hear much word of when many people who aren't overly obsessed horror fans when they bring up his works. So I just watched this film today, and I gotta say, this is actually one of Wes Craven's best films. Sure, it's not something up like Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's still great. It's honestly, to me, the better Don't Breathe. To me, the better Don't Breathe in my eyes. So, how was The People Under the Stairs made? So, according to Wes Craven, the film story was inspired by a real-life news story from 1978. This case involved these two African-American burglars made a forced entry into a house in Los Angeles, California, and it led to the local law enforcement discovering a pair of children who had been locked away by their parents. Craven said that apparently appealed to him about the premise was the idea, because hideous atrocities can hide beneath the surface of an apparent normalcy house. But Craven was worried that Universal wouldn't like the script because of the protagonist being a young black kid as the male lead and the bizarre nature of the premise, but Tom Pollock and James Jacks were supportive of the concept, and so the film got made. And guess what? It had a low budget of $6 million, and it didn't have any studio interference. And when it came to the house settings, the Thomas W. Phillips residence that was located on Harvard Boulevard in Los Angeles and the former home of Butterfly McQueen was used for the Robson house you see in the film. Everett McGill and Wendy Robbie got cast as the Robsons because apparently they starred together in this television series called Twin Peaks. And Craven stated he conceptualized the house of this human mind when the exterior and first floor were normal, while deeper within, the house would reveal itself to be more twisted and bizarre. So upon release in 1991, when this came out, after it was officially shot and completed, it was pretty much a surprise commercial success. And ever since its release, it got analyzed for a satirical depiction of gentrification, class warfare, and capitalism. Alright, so here are the good qualities in the story of The People Under the Stairs and what makes it another good Wes Craven film. So, it doesn't hit the classics of Elm Street or Scream, but The People Under the Stairs is definitely an underappreciated slice of unique American horror from Wes Craven. In this film, he explores stuff like class, race, and religion in an entertainingly packed-filled heist horror film with thrills and even a few laughs. The story and setting are very unique, and the characters and performances are very solid. Wes Craven's never one to shy away from important social issues in his work, and The People Under the Stairs is no exception. This film, Wes Craven mixes horror with a bit of wacky humor in the story of this boy that has to assist his father in robbing the home of his wicked landlords, and discovers that they're actually more diabolical than he originally thought. And the start of the film is like, it's definitely average. It doesn't really excite too much at the start of the film, but once the film gets to the house and when you start to realize the truth of the two landlords they're robbing, it starts to really hold a grip on you when the film progresses, and it's much more impressive and gripping in the second half of the movie. The plot of the film is good, the execution is also good. The film really works as this poison and it really makes grip as the film progresses. It's filled with plenty of intense and scary moments. Like the landlords themselves are terrifying characters in horror. And minimal to very little jump scares that are used for the film. And a little bit kind of twists and turns that work perfectly for the film. And of course, the people they imprison under the stairs start off a little frightening at first, but around the finale, you realize they're actually not very much really frightening at all. In the end, they're actually not bad guys. The landlords are bad guys, but the people in prison are not actually bad guys. They're also prisoners, like the daughter in this film is. So how do we start off the film? So, this boy named Fool, the Poindexter Fool Williams, is a resident of a Los Angeles ghetto. And he and his family are about to be evicted from their apartment by the landlords, the Robsons. The Robsons, that are apparently believed to be this married couple, they call themselves mommy and daddy, and they buy these poorly maintained apartment buildings, and they raise the rent to evict the occupants so they can sell the buildings in gentrifiers. They have this daughter that they abuse severely, named Alice. And so Fool's mother has cancer though, and she can't afford treatment, and so this man named Leroy convinces Fool to help him commit burglary to pay for the surgery. So, Leroy, his associate Spencer, and Fool, they break into the Robsons' house and they use Spencer to pose as this municipal worker. And when the Robson, at first, like, Fool tries to guise as this guy boy selling cookies and that doesn't work either. But then the Robsons leave their home. Spencer, though, does not return. So Fool and Leroy go into the house to look for Spencer. Fool then, when they get there though, Fool finds his dead body and a large group of strange pale children in a locked pen inside a dungeon-like basement. And that's pretty much how our film starts off. It starts off kind of slow when they're introducing us to Fool, introducing us to Leroy, introducing us to the Robsons, our big bads of the film, and Alice. The scenes with like the Robsons and Alice are honestly very distressing, and they're very well done. And this is how it kind of starts off in the first half. Like, once Fool and Leroy get inside the house, it's where it really picks up. The film is kind of like a fairground attraction itself. It takes place in this warped fun house, which is actually this labyrinth booby-trap mansion that's owned by these perverted sibling landlords that really turn their ghetto tenants onto the streets to redevelop the land. It's like this demented urban folk tale. And our fearless chopper taking his Fool really enters the wicked duo's home to try and find her hidden stash of gold, face this terrifying challenge, and rescue this maid in distress, and, well, in a way, kind of starts to become a really tough man and grow a spine. In a process, like, the film's two-dimensional characters that have simplistic morality definitely have a less than realistic approach, and it becomes more than acceptable. The handling of the material is very unpredictable. It's got equal parts of twisted humor, genuine horror, a bit of like juicy gore, some insane action, these brilliant design central set in the whole mansion. The mansion looks terrific, the booby traps look terrific. And like you even have like one of the Robsons that in a few scenes like dresses from head to toe in this lettered S&M outfit whenever trying to kill victims. And then, of course, like, once they're in the house, things do start going down. It picks up speed. We see strange things around the house. You see locks on the outside. Dead flies piled in a corner. And you start to wonder that something's not right. And then their damn Rottweiler comes out of nowhere. And you know the leads are in trouble. But the film does start to fly, and the suspense starts to pick up. As soon as that Rottweiler enters the picture, you know things are about to turn to shit for our two leads. Like, it's really difficult to determine who the antagonist is because, well, technically speaking, nearly kind of all the characters, whether it's Fool and Leroy, or even the Robsons themselves, are all guilty of something. The Robsons are guilty of greed, trespass, deception, incest, or maiming, and poisoning, cannibalism. Whereas, well, To be fair, whereas Leroy and Fool are kind of guilty of theft as they're technically stealing a place, but in all fairness, these Robson guys are actually corrupt. You find that out in the later of the film that they're actually stealing from their tenants and raising it on purpose so they can kick the tenants out and they can tear down their homes and turn them all into apartment buildings for people to buy. So speaking, they're much worse. Granted, yeah, Fool and Leroy are stealing from them, but it turns out they have good reasons and good intentions to steal from them in a way because the Robsons are stealing from them. And visually speaking, like the film is like definitely one big surreal nightmare that projects this lurid and foreboding atmosphere. Like the director Wes Craven really does this great job at creating the right look for the film. And like Wes definitely was really on top of his game when he directs this extremely underrated classic of horror. This technique that gets used by Craven is this usage of footage that gets filmed on tidal axis, which was an extremely effective technique for this movie and creates this chaotic sense of space. And in this film, like these shots are definitely numerous and very effective. Like that's the case when the camera's panning through the houses. And like simply put here, The People Under the Stairs, like it's a film that offers some really great visual material, whether it's this audible perspective. And the fairly effective music from Don Peake really is composed very well. And the electronic type, like it's really overpowered by the film's grand visual sense, its stylistic touch, these good extreme close-ups, and whenever they're shot using this moving camera. So, while Fool and Leroy are in the house, Leroy goes to look upstairs, has Fool stay downstairs, look around, and keep on watch. The Robsons then come back from wherever they went, and then Fool flees, but Leroy is shot and killed by Daddy. So Fool runs to another section of the house and he meets Alice, who then tells him the people under the stairs are actually children that broke the see no evils, hear no evils, speak no evil rules of the household. And so they degenerated to cannibalism to survive. Alice, though, avoided the fate by obeying the rules. But this other boy named Roach, whose tongue got removed as punishment for calling for help, evades the Robsons and hides in the walls. Eventually, while this is happening, though, Fool gets discovered by Mommy and Daddy, and Daddy throws him into the cannibals that show him to be killed. But of course, then the cannibals also eat up Leroy's body, and then Leroy's body's dumped into this pond. And then pretty much, Mommy makes Alice clean up all the blood, and then throws her in the tub, and pretty much you can definitely see the abuse they inflict on her. And it's been a pretty disturbing moment. And this is where you first think, like, these cannibals are actually evil, because, like, Daddy makes them eat some of the people that come in their house. However, Roach helps Fool escape, but he gets wounded sadly, and he sadly dies. But he gives him this small bag of gold coins and a written plea to save Alice and get her out of the house. So Fool goes back to Alice, and they escape in the passageways between the walls. Daddy then releases that Rottweiler, who is named Prince, to try to kill them. Fool, though, tricks Daddy into stabbing Prince. And at first, like, Daddy's like, I got you! And, like, he's over the top celebrating and dancing around that thinking he's killed Fool. But, of course, Mommy's like, show proof. And, because she clearly wants to make sure he's actually dead. Unlike the Daddy who's kind of an idiot and just thinks that he's just happily killed like Fool. Despite the fact he doesn't hear a scream from the kid at all when he's, like, uses that gun knife. And so then he sees, like, Prince's dead body, and he's, like, just, like, shocked and realizing that he just fucked up and accidentally killed his own Rottweiler in his own stupid gloating. And, of course, he and Allison reach this attic, and they find this open window above a pond, but unfortunately, Allison's too afraid to jump, so Fool is basically forced to leave her, but he promises he's going to come back for her. And when, of course, Daddy sees him outside, tries to shoot him, Mommy makes him stop because they can't fire their guns. That's going to blow their cover, so they have to go back inside. Like, this is a film where the cast has a really great time and one of Craven's most satisfying films. McGill and Robbie definitely are great in their villain roles and terrifying in their villain roles. Makeup work from, like, the KB Effects group, who are in charge of stuff like Army of Darkness and Hostel. They do good with the makeup work. Don Peake does good with the music score, especially because he actually did work on another Craven film called The Original Hills Have Eyes. Even a film that has its share of flaws and gets a little clumsy at times, like with the pacing. Like, there's times like once after this whole act, the pacing does kind of sluggishly kind of slow down for a little bit. But it's an interesting trip into this House of Madness, and the characters are with characters that are out of their minds. Cast that's terrific and do a great job pulling you into the strange, unusual world that gets created inside the house, takes center stage in the film, and it's very suspenseful and thrilling. Like, the movie gets really screwed up with these neighborhoods, like the Robsons, or this really incestuous one who kidnap young males, torture them, or even cut out their tongues, or eyes, or ears for breaking either evil rules, which is definitely a very messed up subject matter. These guys are really messed up people. Everett McGill and Wendy Robbie really play them off well. They're very convincing. They're insane as mommy and daddy. Like, especially because these two actually work together in a show called Twin Peaks, and they have amazing chemistry here as the villains, and they really make these people seem very real. And also, like, Vin Rames, despite the little screen time he really has in, like, the first bit, like, he appears in, like, the first bit, and then when the mommy and daddy return, they kill him straight away. For an early performance from him, he's also great here as well. This is the film he did 5 years before he would officially debut in the first Mission Impossible film as his most iconic role, Luther. So the next day, Fool realizes he has enough gold to pay for mom's surgery and 10 years worth of rent. Then he also finds out from his grandfather that mommy and daddy are actually brother and sister, and there's this line of disturbed and bred family members that built their fortune running a funeral home and sell cheap coffins for actually expensive prices. Then they went into the real estate, and they became greedier and more unhinged, and then pretty much Fool realizes that they're actually stealing other people's homes, they're purposely raising the rent on them, and they're just getting greedier, and they're making things more unfair for him and his family, and for plenty of their neighbors as well. Which now pretty much explains why, like, you know, Vin Rames' character kind of wanted to rob them, because he was likely one of the neighbors of that place. So Fool decides he's going to help right the wrongs, even though the family tells him not to go near them again. But Fool knows that, remembers he left Alice there, and is going to do the right thing, is going to go back for her. And then, of course, so he reports the Robsons to child welfare, but when the police investigate the house, they don't find anything there, because mommy and daddy hide their tracks really well. And they just lie about that they have this daughter who died. But what they don't know is that Fool actually was using this as a diversion to get inside the house. And then, of course, by the time the police are gone, Fool is inside hiding one of the cabinet doors. And when mommy and daddy decide they're going to kill him when they find him, Fool's already alone in the house by then. He finds Alice, who's like chained in the basement. And he tells Alice that she's apparently not their daughter. And basically, she got stolen from her birth parents by the two tenants. And so were the other children in the basement. Then mommy finds out that Alice now knows the truth, and thinking that Fool turned her against them, tries to kill Alice. But as this is all going on, and when daddy sees like Fool and wants to kill him, her actions though are now basically witnessed by this crowd of evictees that they evicted, and pretty much exposing their crimes. Like, Fool's family, grandfather, and I think his sister come by. They knock on the door saying they heard gunshots and they have warrants. And then, in and out of nowhere sequence, all the people they evicted, kicked out of their homes unfairly, in a very satisfying moment, they all show up to the household in an angry mob. And they're just all like ready, like they're just ready to stand up to the landlords now. This was satisfying to watch. Like, and it's that you'd least expect. Like, you think Fool's gonna die, and then these people, and Alice too, and then these people show up out of nowhere, and they're just ready to get their revenge on the tenants who kicked them out of their homes cruelly and tore them down. And then Fool frees the cannibal children from the basement, who were actually creating this diversion to distract daddy from killing him. And that's where, like, before you thought like these guys were actually, well, kind of like evil by this point, but then it turns out like they're actually now by this point they're actually good guys. They were just prisoners. Like they were only eating the people because they had nothing else to feed. They were locked up down there, and basically because you remember they were tortured and mutilated by the two landlords. So like now like these Campbell children are actually trying to save Fool now. They're actually now on his side and good guys, and Fool helps him escape. He frees him from the basement, and when Alice is now ready to finally stand up to mommy, they at this point she evades her, and then Alice in a satisfying moment actually stabs mommy in the gut. And then the cannibals all show up, angrily surround her, and they kill her and they throw her in the basement. Another satisfying villain death and horror. And it's definitely not really a jump out factor that's really terrifying, but it's the disturbing overtone the movie has. Like these two parents are not really parents, or brother and sister, and they're psychotic killers, where the mom's this neat freak, or the dad kind of runs around with a gun, or either this leather suit or like butcher apron, shoots the kids that live in their cellar. And the notion that something lives in the walls of the house is unsettling, especially when its people are actually cannibalized prisoners. Whenever mom or dad show up out of nowhere with this cleaver or shotgun, it's definitely crazy no matter how quiet it may seem in the scene that happens. And the kids under the stairs, like, they look like monsters trying to break out. Like, these guys, like, are not really... Like, that's the thing. These guys aren't evil. These guys are just children that just want to go home. Like, you feel bad for these guys. Like, they're basically forced to live as cannibals under there, kill any witnesses that come into that house. Like, they just want... Like, they don't want to kill anybody. They want to get out of there. It may seem like it at first, but then when you learn the truth about them, you actually feel sad for them. And thankfully, they do escape. That's what makes the film so weird and creepy. The film avoids a lot of horror movie cliches and adds some level of originality, and it's paced very well, has a very decent story. Like, the house does seem bigger on the inside. The outside would suggest you got the tension, the chases, the misses, and the winning claustrophobic corridors that really keep the action tight and taut. It really has this great humor that's written splatter, and a very written splatter flick, and it all works very well. Either you're left frightened, or you're left pretty much laughing at a lot of humorous moments, and every twisted turn. Like, it's a terrific example of a roller coaster ride kind of a movie. And thanks to the nutcase parents, I really, especially like the father who dresses up in the S&M leather. Now, if you're looking for a film that has like logic or realism, you won't find that here, so you probably would be disappointed. But so don't look for logic or realism from this movie, because this film doesn't want to be realistic. It doesn't want to have over logic. Like it's like just a simple horror film. And that's the thing Wes Craven was known for, making simpler horror films. And you'll be fine with that. Like, it's better it actually stays unrealistic. It doesn't take itself seriously, and it's brilliant because of that. So now we get on with the finale. So while mommy is dead, daddy's still kicking. He finds Fool at the vault, and Fool's like, you don't want to kill me, because if you do, you end up killing yourself. Because, like, basically, he's now completed his character development. He's done running away. He's now grown a spine from his time in that house. And he pretty much, Fool in another satisfying moment, sets off the explosives that demolishes the house, and the money then blows up through the crematorium chimney that, oh, by the way, he found all that money in there. It's like, that's why there wasn't money in that other room. Like, it turns out, the reason why it was not in that other room they thought it would be in is because there's a lot of it. That's the money they stole from their tenants. It's all hiding in that basement. So yeah, when Fool blows up the house, not only that, it actually blows up the money through the chimney and into the crowd of people outside who celebrate that they got their money back. Right there, like, it's pretty ironic that the money doesn't burn, and the money comes out completely fine, but the people get their money back, and guys kill in the explosion, and Alice and Fool reunite in the basements, and the people outside get all their money back. They can finally have their homes back again, or find a place to live again. They don't have to worry about living homeless anymore. Their landlords are dead. Now, and of course, they cannibalize children. Oh yeah, they don't stop to grab the money. They just flee the place, and they venture off into the night sky. They just disappear into the night sky, and they run off. Now finally free from that place. finally having killed their kidnappers and are free to live and are now free to go. And Alice is like, "You all right?" And Fool's like, "I feel like $1 million." And yep, that's how People Under the Stairs ends. Alice especially goes through hell. Fool goes through hell once he sees these two landlords. But by the end, Mommy and Daddy have been killed. They've gotten revenge for everything they put them through. And the whole neighborhood finally has their money back. And like, they got the neighborhood and themselves with everyone able to fix their places up with the liberated wealth. Oh yeah, Fool's mom could finally get treatment of her cancer as well. Even the people under the stairs themselves are free. They're able to experience a new life. It ends with perfect sense of triumph. I like this is how it ends. So now do I have any bad qualities with the People Under the Stairs? I would say for bad qualities, it does kind of teeter on the edge of an R rating and a PG-13 at the same time. Like, it's the thing, it doesn't really know what market it really wants to go for. Majority of the film does show restraint, and a few scenes have this adult elements. And then the film feels a little lost in the shuffle. Like, and there's also times when kind of the final act does kind of drag a little bit because it kind of feels like it takes a bit of time to end. And the first half also does kind of start off a little slow. The second half, I think, is the strongest, but thankfully, in like the third act, it's when the finale, it's when Mommy and Daddy get their desserts. Then it starts to get, then also the third act, that's the best part of the third act. Easily. Like, I liked seeing these two finally get the desserts. In the end. So, I think other than like the slow first act and kind of the sluggish pacing and not knowing what kind of rating it wants to really go for, I definitely like the People Under the Stairs. And I would recommend this to Wes Craven fans, especially those that want a way better Don't Breathe. If you guys did not like that film, and if you want to watch a better version of that film, watch this movie instead. It's a way better version of that film. So in the end, The People Under the Stairs, it's an underrated Wes Craven gem that is worth adding to your collection, no doubt. Anyways, that's it for my view of The People Under the Stairs. If you want to rank The People Under the Stairs, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you like Wes Craven and want to check out some of his more unnoticed stuff, The People Under the Stairs is one that I definitely recommend for you, so I would give this movie a watch and add to your collection for sure, no doubt. And if you're wanting to rank The People Under the Stairs, I'm going to give The People Under the Stairs an 8 out of 10. Alright, there we go, guys. That officially wraps up the review for The People Under the Stairs. So, what's going to be our next episode for Halloween horror movie reviews? Well, we are going to be going back to the year 1976 and exploring a Stephen King adaptation about a lonely outcast girl who just wanted to fit in, then after an incident in the showers, one of her bullies felt bad and decided to leave her with her prom date and keep herself out instead. And sadly, it would lead to a prank that this one other bully who didn't want to face their actions wanted revenge for. And leading to what she discovered was her powers, getting revenge on all her bullies. In a very brutal night. And it was done by filmmaker Brian De Palma. Yeah, guys. Our next episode is Carrie, one of the first Stephen King film adaptations to be made. Now I want to know in the comments down below what you guys think about The People Under the Stairs. Whether you really love this movie, whether you're not a fan of this movie. And until then, guys, that will be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.